Hi there, I'm Liz Need, and this is the fourth e-class about living big and doing amazing things with your life. I'm sorry that I'm starting a little bit late. I had some problems just getting in. You gotta love technology. So I'm actually a little bit discombobulated at the moment because I had some pictures that I want to show you, and I'm going to have to send them to myself from another desktop. So that you can get the full picture of everything that has been going on in my life. I can't imagine that you haven't heard. I went to Mount Kilimanjaro, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. I see Kate is on the line and Molly's on the line. I'm not sure who else will come in. I mean, they may have checked and then checked out. So we're just going to move forward. This baby will be saved and put on YouTube, so that way you'll have a chance to listen to it again. So what I'm going to ask you to do really quickly is just hang tight while I get my pictures from Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm going to, in our class today, share with you some really important things that I realized as I was on the mountain. I partially did this so that I could build my business. It was really important to me to want to distinguish myself as a different kind of coach and a different kind of speaker. And I thought I need to take a taste of my own medicine and do something big with what I have. Live in gratitude and in the moment. And I'm very sorry. I'm just doing this. I'm being very distracted right now, but it's important for me to get this done. I'm telling you guys, one of the biggest things that I've learned, and I'm sure that you experience this, is that, it used to be that when someone started work, working for a career, learning wasn't such an important part of the process. You would get started right out of college, and you would learn the things that you needed to learn, but by the time you were in your mid-30s or 40s, you kind of knew what you needed to do so that you could be successful. And that is no longer the case. It is a constant learning curve. There's always things that are going on, and I'm sure that you've heard people say, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's something kids do, or, I don't get it. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, I don't get Twitter. I don't know what this Google Plus thing is. And I really believe that you in order to be successful, you have to be actively learning now all the time. You have to be available to be taught all the time. And as I was trying to put this together, and I have this presentation, and I'm using webinars on air, and they're constantly changing it. It's a challenge, and it can make you feel like, why in the world am I doing this? But it's important for you to learn and move forward. So right now I'm kind of modeling that, actually. Since there's only a couple people, I'm going to try to invite you in to the Hangout. So let me see if I can do this. Okay. So I believe now I should be able to see you. Oh, there we go. Hi, Kimberly. How are you? I'm so glad that you showed up so that you can see this. It's not a train wreck, I promise. I'm just going to hang in there until I get everything together. So a little background, and I think Molly probably has heard the most about this, so if you need to fall asleep, that's totally fine. This process started probably about 9 months ago, and all I wanted, as I said, was to inspire other people, and I wanted to grow myself. So now, Kimberly, I can really hear you. Do you want me to take you out of that? Oh, not Kimberly, Mary Kate.
Yeah, I have no idea how I got there, so I'll mute myself.
I want you to be in there, so go ahead and mute yourself, and then if you want to ask a question, you can become part of this. So I think I can add. I'm going to add Molly as well, and Kimberly, if you do get on, if you get online, then I can include you as well. So I want you to be an active part of this time, because I think this is one of those things where you can really ask questions when you want to. So, all right, I'm just trying all kinds of different things because that's the headspace that I'm in. So because we only have so much time, I'm going to try to, I just have to bring up the presentation, and then I'm going to run through the presentation, and I'm going to show you all the pictures because that's the fun part. And and then we'll kind of go from there. The thing that was interesting about this, if I fast forward to today, you know, I just had, Molly was in an Unleash and Ignite group coaching session with me, and we were talking about the climb, and I'm going to share a lot of the things that I talked to her about. And the strangest thing about all of it was that you can climb a mountain and learn lessons that directly impact your business. So, Molly, now I can see you. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Go ahead and mute yourself. I know I'm torturing you right now. So, okay, here, hold on. I'm going to stop bumbling around and just get this this presentation up and running so that you can see the stuff that you want to see. Okay. All right, hold on, and I'm going to share this baby, and then hopefully you will have fun with it. All right, hold on. Sharing the thing. This doesn't make you want to use this, does it? Where's the share the space? I know, it's not that bad, I swear. I'm just trying to find the thing that you use here. Oh, I really hope that I can. Oh, here you go. So I'm going to share my desktop. Now that looks really cool, doesn't it? And then they kind of showed you how to do this thing. So if I start my, can you guys, Molly, can you tell me, can you see it right now?
Yes.
Okay, so right now you see my desktop, but can you see the presentation?
I can see the presentation, and then I can see the windows of us at the bottom, but I can't see you speaking.
Okay, good. That's what I want. So I'm just going to go through this really quick, and then when I'm done, then I'll release you guys to answer questions, because the whole trip was very exciting. Oh, this is interesting. This isn't what I wanted. Why is that there? This is amazing. I'm so glad that it's a few people that I know really well, so I can cut this thing all together and make it look the way it's supposed to. This is just really funny. I should have known that this would happen. I'm too excited about it. Let's just say it that way. Okay, bear with me. I am looking for the downloads. Don't fall asleep. I promise. I'm here. All right. This is what we want. Okay. Now, can you see Mount Kilimanjaro?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So this is the actual mountain that I climbed. And I remember sitting, you know, driving by it and thinking, what have I gotten myself into? I'm going to go 7 days. I mean, I've camped before. Kate, I know that you're a camper as well. Kimberly, I don't know if you are, but you know, being in Africa is kind of culture shock. It's a completely different place. I mean, they don't have toilets on every corner. They are connected, but their connection is very much more in person and in the moment. And I felt like a fish out of water. So here's the first thing that I want to challenge you with as you're going through the endeavors that I know the people who are on the call right now. But as you're going through what you're doing every day, is your interaction in the moment? Is your interaction with yourself or with other people in the moment? Or is everything very, very contrived and calculated because you're thinking about your retirement, or you're thinking about how this will affect your children, or you're thinking about how it will impact your finances? Because I realized I don't live in the moment, and to have so many people around me just being there in the minute that they were given was kind of disconcerting. And I realized that I had chosen this mountain but not in the moment, and I was about to learn how to live my life second by second. It was really kind of amazing. So this is me at the top. I was exhausted. I was about 5 minutes away from throwing up. It was singularly the most exhilarating and stressful thing that I have ever done. I was almost kind of out of my mind. The altitude was very stressful, but it really was just scary. It was scary, and to push through that kind of fear to get to the top was amazing. This situation, this climbing this mountain, is not the same stress for everybody. Some people make it to the top no problem. There were certainly people in my group that made it to the top without any issues. Altitude was a problem for me, and it was actually my teacher. When you have something difficult that's going on in your life, it is your teacher. I learned more than the people who had it easier. It was my heart had to be open. My brain was absolutely focused on the situation at hand. There was no distractions, and as a result, I came back fuller than I ever thought possible. It was transformational for me, and it was something that, as I walked away from it, I realized I want that for you. I'm not saying that you need to go climb a mountain. I'm saying that you need to have something in your life that challenges you to the point where you can't be thinking so many steps ahead. You can't be distracted by fake scenarios that are going on in your head, because you have something so serious that needs your attention right at that moment. And I promise you that transformation is what's going to change your life. Often, as I've been talking about it afterwards, I tell people, oh, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I try to explain it. Or I'm talking to someone who has been following me all this time. And inevitably, there's a little bit of defensiveness, because they're saying, well, I don't want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, it scares them to watch me do this. And this is a picture of me. It's the second day. So we actually hadn't gotten that far into it. We were probably about 12,500 feet. But I'm above the clouds here. And it was so amazing to look out. And it looks like water almost. It was hard for my mind to comprehend that I was that far up. Everyone as a kid has laid on their back and looked up at the sky, or just maybe when you're in the car and you're bored and you play that game where you pretend, you try to imagine what the shape of the cloud resembles. And to be above that was very strange. What I learned was that the world is a much bigger place than I give it credit for. This universe is just a really, really big space. And to feel my place in the world, to feel how I am as big as the universe that I'm sitting in, but I'm also a very small significant part of it. That I really needed to see that I can't control everything, to realize that I can focus on what I can control. And when you see that face, I mean, my husband was so worried about me. My skin is starting to get dry. I definitely look tired. I had already lost about 5 pounds. Maybe not in a fun way, but I was in the middle of this transformation, and I really believe that you have to get above the clouds in order to see what your capacity is as a person. And I challenge you to do that. I realize that you may not be in a position where you want to do that. You may be thinking, well, maybe I'll do that later. Maybe I don't have a partner, or my partner isn't ready, or maybe it's about your children being a different age. And I'm just telling you that everyone in your life will benefit from you having a few moments where you can see how big the world is. We control everything around us in the United States, particularly, people in the U.S. are the richest people in the world. I mean, there's people who are richer, but overall, we have so much wealth, and that wealth has been a detriment to us. We can control the temperature. We can control how long we take to do things. We have so much freedom that it's easy to forget that we really don't have control, and that lack of control is where the real growth comes. This is a picture of my group. It's a terrible picture for a brown girl, I'll tell you that. We summited on the 4th of July of this year, and the guide is in the front there with his thumbs up. He's got sunglasses and all black and a black hat, and I'm kind of right behind him. There were some people, for instance, the guy in the blue with the red pants, his name is Santiago. He was incredibly gifted at handling the altitude. There's a 14-year-old boy. He's in the back row. He has a red hat. So even a 14-year-old can do it. So I won't say that it's certainly not like Mount Everest or some of those other mountains. And it's possible to do it. They were strong kids that were there. But it was a fantastic thing to experience the mountain with other people. And I will tell you, I was one of the weakest or strongest people at the bottom, and then one of the weakest people at the top. We didn't know each other at all at the bottom, and by the end, we really were working as a team. And I'll share a little bit more about that afterwards. But I just want you to see the variety of people who were there. And I want you to think about the things that you want to do in your life and think about what the excuses are, because we say to ourselves, I could never do that. And, you know, I certainly hear it a lot. People say to me, Liz, you know, you're a certain kind of person. You're driven or athletic or, you know, whatever it is that they want to differentiate themselves from me. And with that differentiation comes an excuse to not have to do it yourself. So I would love for everyone on this call to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want you to experience the exhilaration that I did. But I also want you to think about on your own level why you think you can't have everything that you want in your life, to include the business, whatever your business sense is. And most of the time, the reasons why you think you can't do it are not things that you've experienced yourself. You just think you can't. You wouldn't know whether you could climb Mount Kilimanjaro or how much you would love it until you actually went there and did it. Now, you may say that doesn't interest me, and I can respect that. But you can't really conclusively say what your experience would be until you go through it yourself. So if there's something really amazing that you want in your life, don't use an excuse that is only constructed with your imagination as a reason to not do something. Either say, I've carefully considered this, I've talked to people who have done it, and given what their circumstances are, I'm willing to withdraw myself from that opportunity. Or say, I'm really afraid and I'm coming up with 20,000 excuses to do it. And I think I'm going to walk through those and do them myself. I had a lot of fears. I play a good game. I believe I'm meant to do the adventures. Fears aren't a reason to not do something for me, but there were so many times. I mean, I made myself have high blood pressure because I was internalizing so much stress about how my business was going to run, whether people would understand me, whether this was a colossal waste of time and money. There were so many reasons why not to do it, but I truly believe that the more fears there are, the better the situation is probably going to be on the other side of it. So don't play it safe. This is me getting treated. See, I can get treated really well no matter where I am. Apparently, I was complaining that I was tight in the shoulders or whatever. But I wanted to point out the presence of my guide. So my guide's on my left. I guess, I don't know if it's my left or right. In the blue with the hat and the buff, which is what you put around your mouth so that you don't breathe in all this dusty air, because we were on a volcano. His name is Eric Murphy, and he was a really fantastic guide. He does this for a living. He's actually based out of Seattle, but he travels all over the world for Alpine Ascents, which is the company that organized the climb. And his job, it was to make sure that we all summited. At the bottom, he's very zen and very focused. He's kind of a no-nonsense guy. He is funny, but he didn't really show that, because his job was to take the 12 other people besides me, 13 of us all together, and make sure that we took care of ourselves over the course of 7 days in another country on a mountain as the oxygen was decreasing. And I'm sure that that was quite a job, because I don't think that we are prone to self-care. I realized afterwards that it was kind of like a whack-a-mole game, watching each of us try to destroy our time. And he had to catch us as we're engaging in these self-destructive behaviors and remind us to get back on track. So he created this phrase, which was supposed to produce this like Pavlov's response of getting us back on track so he didn't have to work so hard. And he would say self-care. So self-care meant catch things before they happen. If you have a hot spot on your foot, don't wait until it's a full-blown blister. Let him know. Let's take care of it. Get sleep. Rest when you can. If you can't sleep, don't go running around. Rest when you can. Walk at the pace that you're meant to walk. Make sure you're hydrating. Make sure you're eating. Lighten your pack. Let someone know when you're feeling tired. That really all that he could only do so much. Essentially what he was saying is, I can't really take care of you as well as you can take care of yourself. And this is, I've been giving you little lessons, but this was one of the biggest lessons that I learned, was that I have to take care of myself. And I have to treat my body and my mind and my soul as if it is the machine that's going to carry me to the summits of my life. And there isn't any reason. He sort of looked disgusted in a way. If I was probably one of the worst climbers in that sense. I have a lot of self-destructive thought processes because I just want to keep going no matter what, and I don't want to have to listen to myself, and I'm just going to be super Liz and plow through. And so there were times when I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And he'd say, what do you got in your pack? And he was opening up my pack and pulling it out and saying, why do you need your makeup bag? And do you really need that many Band-Aids? And why do you have so many coats? Because I was sort of packing like a mom and thinking that I had to carry all of it myself. And he was looking at me thinking, don't you get it, lady? We're going to be climbing to the top of the mountain, and you really don't need to have so much in your back. And he would take the stuff out, and then it would be lighter, and I would realize I'm not getting any awards for carrying the heaviest pack. It's not necessary. There were times that I didn't feel like eating. Certainly on the summit night, I didn't feel like eating, and he said, are you going to eat, or am I going to put the food in your mouth? Because he understood how it all worked. And so in this lesson to you, I would say no matter what it is that you're thinking about, whether it's a professional or a personal goal, self-care is the core of everything. Your life revolves around you, not anyone else. So it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what's going on in your body at the cell level and at the soul level. And if you haven't taken care of yourself, it could be as simple as something like you have a tax thing that you need to take care of, and it's eating away at you, but you keep it in the back of your mind and you don't do anything about it. Or it could be that you have a conversation that you need to have with your spouse, and you don't want to have it, and so you just avoid it and you carry it. Or it could be as simple as your workspace and your car space are ridiculously disorganized, and you think, I'm just going to keep pulling this load without organizing myself. Self-care means that you set yourself up physically, emotionally, and mentally in the best possible space so that you can accomplish your goals, rather than living with difficulty and thinking that you'll make it anyway. I'm forever changed because of it, and I keep thinking when I do something stupid, let's say I didn't get enough sleep and I'm trying to work and get things done when really I just need a half an hour nap. And I hear Eric's voice saying, self-care, just go take 30 minutes so that way you can go and be as strong as you can. So self-care, I hope that you can hear my voice. This is a picture of the guides, several of the guides. You can also see Eric there off to the right. If you look, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see one of the people that climbed with me. Her name was Barrett, and the smile on her face. This is at the end of a day, and all these people are helping us and supporting us. I'll be honest with you. I bought a very expensive package, so this Alpine Ascents group, they do a great job of taking care of people, so that all I really had to do was carry a backpack and climb up a mountain. I didn't have to worry about food and accommodations and choosing the best spot, and I mean, they were really there. So there were quite a few people that were responsible for everything from carrying our waste to cooking, setting up tents, breaking down tents, just handling anything that we need. And what they did at the end of every day, we were exhausted, covered in dust from head to toe with our backpacks on, is we would walk into the camp and they would dance for us. They would dance and serenade us. It would take about 2 to 5 minutes. Right in the front there's a bigger guy with a hat on and kind of a lighter shirt. His name was Shedrack, and he actually had a job description. In his job description, part of it was to be a singer, and he called all of the guys around and they sang in Swahili some kind of welcome and blessing. And we were always tired when we walked in, and I can't tell you if I ever felt like listening to the song, because I just wanted to sit down and get the pack off and change and get some food and just not climb or hold my weight up. And by the end of the song, I felt so good, because they were singing so joyfully and so openly that it was infectious. These people, whatever you see them wearing in this picture, they wore that the whole week. They never got to eat until after we ate. They took care of us at every turn before they ever took care of themselves. And I'm not kidding you, every single time I talked to them, they were happy and joyful. I shouldn't say happy. They were joyful. They were ready to serve. And on a personal level, I realized there that joy is a thing you experience in the moment. You can't experience joy in the future. You can only experience it in the moment. And that is a life-changing thing, because you'll never be happy unless you can see whatever it is that you have to do and experience in the moment. But and it's an inside thing, because there was nothing in their circumstances that I saw that was really like something to be that excited about. I mean, yippee, here you are to eat food and poo in a toilet, and then I'm gonna carry all of that stuff for you up and down the mountain. I don't know that I would say that's an opportunity for joy. I mean, how much they actually make more than most, but the most that most people make is about $500 a month. It's not very much money. It's not any kind of money to get ahead. They had rotting teeth, and you know, they just didn't have very much. But I promise you that every person that was a Tanzanian was more happy than anyone who was an American. So just at this moment, I want you to soak that in and feel how much you have, because it's a moment to be grateful for. I have so much. Even though there's so much that I want, I still have so much right now, and so much access and so much opportunity, and there's so much richness in my life. The other thing that I want you to feel is, from a business perspective, joy is an infectious thing. I couldn't get enough of them. I wanted to be around these people who took such pride and joy in their work. And as Americans, we tend not to think that way. We tend to think that people are going to take advantage of us, and that it's a cutthroat world and you have to work your butt off to make it happen. And while I think that some of those things are true, if you really want to differentiate yourself as a business person, joy is it. It is free. It is different. People will think you're crazy. Joy is a leadership process, because what they were doing is they were setting joy in front of me and saying, if you want, you can follow. And so it's absolutely something that I have in my business at this moment. I continue to work on, how can I just be joyful? I mean, sometimes people look back at me with stoic eyes and they don't respond to me, and it makes me feel dumb. But at the end of the day, that's the way to lead, is through joy, and to say to someone, it's my privilege to serve you. Anybody will want that. So hopefully you're not getting nosebleeds from all of the descriptions of this. This is a picture of me. I was in the middle of crying. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. This is a place called Stella's Point. I just want to point out a few things. This was the most powerful moment for me on the trip. I was wearing a headlamp. I had many layers. I mean, I probably had 4 or 5 layers. So what they do when you're going to summit is they wake you up at midnight. It is very cold. It's probably 30 degrees, maybe cooler. It's probably one of the, I think from midnight to 3 o'clock is the coldest time on the mountain. And they do that because the sun is so strong, and we have so much more to do after the summit that they want to make sure we get back down safely to a lower altitude later. And so you're in the dark climbing from 15,000 feet to 19,000 feet, 4,000 feet, and you're doing it step up after step up. I mean, it was really incredibly difficult. I don't have the greatest circulation, so I was cold from the beginning, and I stopped for a second, and I changed my gloves to my mittens so that my hands could get warm. I looked at the person, I'll show you a picture of him in a second. I looked at the person who was climbing with me, and I said, Moody, I really need you to carry my pack. So now this poor guy that's with me is carrying my pack. There were 9 people that helped 13 people summit this mountain on that last day, because they knew that we could all break down at different moments. So when I changed over my gloves to my mittens and I handed over the pack, I lost my group, and I spent the rest of that night climbing alone. And it was really scary because I felt very out of breath. My left side of my lungs were really tight, and it made me nervous that it wasn't both. I could feel it on one side of my chest, and I thought, am I going to have a stroke? I couldn't breathe. I felt very tired and out of it. Some of it was because of sleep deprivation, but I think I was just reacting to the altitude. A lot of people have had it worse, but it was really awkward for me because I went into it, like I said, as one of the strongest people in the group, and I'm a driven person, and I like to take, there's no excuses for me, so I wanted control of the situation. And within 20 minutes, I knew I was thinking about, how am I going to quit? How can I get off this mountain? I mean, I'm going to have to go down somewhere. How is this going to work? And what am I going to, I was thinking about things like this webinar and thinking, how am I going to tell you this story that I did all this work and then I quit? And I heard, I'm going to tell you that it was God. For me, it was God. it was a voice in my head. It was it wasn't a voice like the way you talk, but it was definitely a thought that floated through my head as I was fighting through this, and I felt so bad. I was taking breaks, and he's watching me, and I'm thinking every moment I sit on this rock, I'm just getting colder, and my group is getting further and further away from me. And I heard these words that said, "Just take one step. This whole thing exists. I created this whole thing," is what I heard. "And you didn't create this. And so you don't have control over this. But what you do have control over is what you do right now. So just take a step. And when you're done with that step, take another step. Because you don't know, you don't have the knowledge about any of it. You don't know how fast you're going, how long it's going to take, how far ahead your group is, how much colder it's going to get. I didn't even really know how much more I could take, but I could take that next step. And I really existed in each step from that moment until I got to the next stopping point. It all feels like a blur. I can't really tell you what happened during those 4 hours. I really think that I was walking through transformation. I was teaching myself how to just focus on the step. It has changed the way I do business because I don't need to worry about what else I have going on today. I just need to focus on what I'm doing. I don't need to think about how many people are on the call or what else you're doing or whether or not all the technology pieces work out. I only need to offer the best that I can do at that moment, and then there will be another step to take. So I hope that maybe some of this will reach you. Maybe this is something that you need to hear, and if you can remember this very sad face, because I really look sad, then maybe you'll understand that this was after the 4 hours. This was 4 hours of walking and struggling, and I had made it to this point. The other thing that I want you to know is I had really bonded with my team by this point. We had been, this was the sixth day that we had been together. There was no TV, there was no drinking, there was nothing, there was no entertainment. It was just us hanging out together and supporting each other. And so when I lost my group, it was really a stressful thing, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen to me, and I really wanted to summit it with them. We had been talking about it for the last few days and what we were going to do. And there's a place called Stella's Point, which is this landing that you see right here, this little plateau, and then you rock around a crater and you go up the rest of the way to the top, which is about 1 more hour of climbing. And I really thought that they were way ahead of me. And I got over the last little bit of rock, and I climbed up onto this thing, and my group had waited for me. And they walked up to me, and they surrounded me, and they hugged me, even the most stoic person. And several of the women that were I had become very close to, they hugged me, and they cried, and they said, it was hard for us too, and we couldn't stop thinking about you, and we were with you. And I really just at that moment accepted all that love and didn't think about how much better anyone was than I was or how I thought the story would be. I just accepted it, and I thought, what a gift, this human gift of what we can do for each other. So I want you to know that I'm here and that I might not be in the same place that you are, but I'm willing to wait for you and not leave you behind. There's something about being willing to wait until someone gets where they need to get to in their own pace and in their own time, and then be able to celebrate it. And actually, the face that you see is me completely overwhelmed with gratitude that I was around these people and that I was really part of something, that it was the mountain and us and my journey and all of our journeys together. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced, and I'm glad to be able to share it with you. The last thing that is really a lesson, this last lesson, was about, it came from this guy, Julius. He was the head climber, and he was the one who made sure everybody, I mean, really, if you had a complaint, he was the one, and he was managing like 60 men from all different ages and skill sets. And he would do things like he would get in front of the group at the beginning of the day and walk and walk. He would set the pace, and he would listen to what we were doing. And really, he just kept an eye on us. He was sort of the African head guide, in the compliment to Eric, who was the Western head guide. And when I got to the summit, I was exhausted, and Moody, my partner in this, was also exhausted, and I think he saw that. So what he did, and you can see his hand there, this is exactly what he was wearing. He came alongside me, abreast of me, and he hooked his hand inside of mine, like linked his arm and pulled me close, and he said, I know the mountain like the back of my hand, and I'm going to take you down. All I want you to do is lean into me. And as we went down the mountain, it was kind of like we had to ski. There was all this, they call it scree, and it's pebbles and dust and all this stuff. It's deep. It's this deep stuff. And after you climb the mountain, the last thing you want to do is tilt back on your heels and try not to slip as you're going down this deep pebble and dust thing. And so I basically just leaned into him, and he just skied down that mountain. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to trust him. I never fell. He just talked to me, and I could feel his body and his hand. And sometimes I almost closed my eyes. There were times we had to stop, and he would place his feet as footholds, and I would use his feet as a way to get down, because he knew I was just spent. I was just tired. And I was incredibly grateful and humbled for that, at how kind he was in the way he did it. That when you help people and you're kind and and you have this integrity and this singularity, that it's easy for people to depend on you. Just the way he said it, and the openness, and saying, you're not weak, I'm just going to help you right now, and it's going to be easier for you. It was really a moving thing, and something that I want to offer in my coaching and my speaking, that you don't have to lord it over someone and in your ego show them how great you are. You just have to come alongside them and just do it. To be one with another human being, this man who lives across the world from me, it made me realize we're all just connected. I mean, I'll never not feel connected to him. He made himself part of my story, and that was just fantastic and moving. This is Moody. Obviously, I just love him so much, because he was the guy that gave me pep talks. He would say things like, Lisa, the mountain is going to be so amazing, Lisa. I want you to see the top of it. He was the one who carried his pack and mine, and never, ever acted as if it was effort. It had any effort. And so, again, every time I see his face, I'll always think about that moment. The results of this are amazing. I have a book coming out in September. You can get it on Kindle, and I have this story to tell. So the results of this have been, it's just effortless now, the things that I have to do, because I chose something that was so part of my brand, and it was so part of my heart that it's easy for people to come and get it. I have a story to tell. Another thing that happened is I completely inspired my family, my husband and my children, and the legacy of that is going to last a long time, particularly my daughters. They think that this is what a woman is, that a woman in her 40s with children, that the women go to Africa and climb mountains and come back and continue to be the soccer mom. So I don't know what the results will be, but I believe that there will be quite a bit. I actually had some really amazing things that happened with my parents. So the circles of this, business-wise, family-wise, extended family, my father, who didn't want me to go, didn't get it, is now asking me, will you please just write the whole story down so that I can read it and think about it and imagine it. They call me their champion. I never thought that was going to happen. So the mountain has had many gifts for me. On a personal level, I created a workbook called the Live Big Project. If you want to create your own project that's transformational, I thought of all the steps that I took and the thought processes, and I put it all together. And then the other thing that I did is I created a group coaching program that I'm going to extend to all of you. It's $650 for anyone who's doing this coaching. I'll take $100 off, so it's $550. But basically what I see that I did is that there's this timeline of 2014, and I was doing all these things. Imagine that the X's and the circles and everything are all the efforts that I use to promote myself and to communicate. And what I did was I created order in all the things that I did. So instead of it all being separate, it all kind of came together. And the cool event was the mountain. The post stuff is the launch, which is the programs that I'm offering to you and the ways that you can get involved. And the way that I generated that interest was by showing you my journey. So I want you to think about this and think about what you could do that strengthens your brand, whether it's personally or professionally, because all you really are doing is inspiring. You're showing people how to live. We all are teaching each other. And then after that event, something to launch. So I wanted to talk to you about the Unleash and Ignite program. I don't necessarily need to get into it right here. I wanted to leave some room for some questions. I'm going to come back and show my face. I think I can do this. Hold on. This is really interesting trying to do this. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna stop the share, I think. Okay, let me see. Where is it? Oh, I can't. It doesn't look like share. There we go. Okay, I'm back. How many people are asleep? So you can either send me a question or you can just ask me a question. So you're what does 0 mean, Kate? Why don't you unmute?
It means nobody's asleep.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks. So, okay. Do you have any questions?
I do. Reflectively, what could you have done differently in your preparation, do you think, to have not had such a difficult time? Because I am really very surprised that you had as much trouble physically as you did.
If I don't know that I could have gone to Colorado and acclimated myself. Part of why they take 7 days is so that you kind of go up and down. So you go from 12 to 14 and then down to 13 and you camp, and then you go up to 15 and then you go around something which takes you to 13. So they're trying to acclimate you. If I hadn't been so prepared, I wouldn't have made it. So even though I didn't get to feel how in shape I was, my muscles were still working and I had done all that work. The one thing, I don't know. I mean, it was really, the part of this experience was that I couldn't prepare and that I had to just live with myself and take whatever came and do the best that I could. Do you know what I mean? That was part of it.
So here's another question. Are you thinking of climbing a different mountain?
That's a good question. So I don't want to climb another mountain necessarily. I think I didn't become addicted to climbing mountains. I thought it was beautiful. I was more enraptured with the Tanzanians, and I definitely will go back to Africa. What I really am addicted to is inspiring you. So I have to find another thing to do that is on my brand and that will capture your imagination and with my life encourage you to do something with yours. I mean, that's my passion. And the mountain just offered me an opportunity to do it. So I would recommend anybody do it. There were some people that were on the mountain with me who I'm like, how are you even up here? Because the kind of climbing it isn't the climb. There are some days that are harder than others, and there's a lot of people. You have to pick a good company to go with. But literally, anyone could do it. Anyone could do it. You just have to put your mind to it, and it is empowering. It's just amazing for me to go, well, who cares about that phone call? I just climbed a mountain, people. This is no big deal. Does anyone else have any questions? You can type it into the chat, and I'll answer. Molly, do you have any questions?
I do not.
You've heard this more than once, so I appreciate you hanging in there and doing it. And I know I'm going over time, but I'm really passionate about this story and about the things that I learned, because I feel like in the United States in particular, we just think we have all the answers. I mean, I know that I do. I know that I have so much control over my environment. It's so hard to feel like, I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine being out of control. And so to be in a place of learning is really the most important thing. How can you put yourself in a place of there's no going back and you have to do it? I mean, I think that's, really, I don't know, that's the life-changing thing, I really believe. Kimberly, I don't know, I don't know if Kimberly's there. I see Laura, my partner in crime, Laura Piester, is here. I don't know if you have any questions as well. I know Kimberly is in the fitness world, so I'm curious to know how you see some of these things can be used to help you promote your business and your health business, that part of your blogging, and how it might help you move forward. That would be interesting, but I feel like I've talked a lot and other people need to ask questions. I'm curious, do you see the application for business right now? Because I really, if anything, this is transferring my business more than anything else. That's the easiest place to see the result. So I'll put Molly on the spot. So Molly, do you see a place where one message where you're like, okay, this is the thing that I need to, this is the thing I can apply right now to make a difference?
I think it was just take that step. Just do it and move forward. And if you have to change the way you do things, change the way that you do things, and that you can kind of change your plan towards the end if it's not working the way you envisioned, but you'll never know unless you take that step or each step at a time.
Yeah, I think that's a good one for anybody that's in, in a place where they're scared and you can't see what's next. I mean, that was the thing about them taking the next step. It's easy to take steps when you can see a little bit down the road, but when it's completely dark and you have a headlamp in front of you and you can't see anything but your next step, it changes the way you approach your life. Kimberly, I appreciate the, I want to tell the story, and I'm excited about the book. The chapter is about my sons and the climb that I took with them and how this mountain was a metaphor. And, Kimberly, doing a bikini body competition for any woman, I mean, unless you're like Giselle or Heidi Klum or whatever, and I'm sure even those people have their own feelings. I mean, that is kind of a mountain because not only it has a hard, here are some of the things that you need to know. A mountain experience has a hard date. It puts you completely out of your comfort zone. You should probably not know how to do it, really. You should be learning as you go. And there should be a public element to it because there's accountability in it. If I hadn't gone or, everything, it was so accountable. People could ask me, like, are you really working out? Is that really happening? Are you really leaving your kids? Is this a really good business decision? Like, provoking those questions because that's where the transformation comes. So I'm interested, Kimberly, in watching that happen. So I don't know, Laura Piester, if you have any questions or not. Obviously, we talk quite a bit. And Kate, do you have any questions that are related to the things that you're doing in your work?
Not questions, but I was going to say the whole live in the moment is such a good reminder. I get that on a regular basis from my husband when he sees me pick up my cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm having a conversation with him or then not having a conversation with him. And the whole self-care, especially as women, we don't take care of ourselves. We always put others first. You're absolutely correct, and we need to be more conscious of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All excellent points.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. And I really feel like all of them have an easy application to business and parenting and relationships and your relationship with yourself. I mean, if you could just picture this guide, with this look on his face like, Liz, how much stuff do you have in your bag? I mean, you have to imagine we're in the middle of this forest and I'm complaining that I'm so tired and I don't know why. And then he's like, well, let me look what's in your pack. And he seriously pulled out this thing, which is my makeup. And I don't know why I had my makeup in there. I just kept this little bag. I figured it wouldn't matter. And he's like, he said, what is this? And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell him. It's my makeup bag. And you could just see his face, like, what is wrong with you? You want to carry extra weight. You want to carry your foundation up the mountain for some reason. And I didn't even have makeup on. I don't know. I thought maybe I'd have a photo opportunity and I'd have to do it. And I didn't even, I think that the thing that, just to add to that is that your lack of self-care is insidious. It's built so deep down that you don't even recognize it. To me, that seemed like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to carry 2 coats. I don't know why, but to me, I didn't even have the opportunity to go lighten your load. Make sure that your body has everything that it needs. So that's something that we can all apply right now. Whatever it is that you need, take care of yourself. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. Who cares if other people, I was uncomfortable giving my backpack to someone else because I thought I have to do it. But that was self-care for me. I would not have gotten to the top of the mountain, I don't think, if I hadn't just relieved myself of that burden. So there may be things where you need to relieve yourself. Yes, you can do it all yourself. You certainly could. But why? Depend on other people. Give yourself the best chance. Rest when you can. Feel the emotion. I wonder how many times we have all choked back tears or laughter when we should have just let the emotion flow. And it's such a wonderful thing to just be there. And also, please note, that joy thing is infectious. To want to be there for someone so completely and out in the open. I'm like, where can I was throwing money at them at the end because I was like so in love with these people. They created financial opportunity for themselves by like shaking their butt around. And I'm like, there are other ways to shake your booty and still make some money. Nice. Very good. So, well, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to stop the broadcast. I'm happy to answer any questions. Obviously, I want to be on the road giving this presentation. I really feel like my community needs to hear this. The Americans that I get a chance to talk to need to hear this experience because it's, it's a syndrome not being in the moment. It's a relief to not talk on the phone for 7 days and just be in the moment and not have all that stuff going on. So so please consider me in that. And then I will be following up with the program. I know Molly is the only person who's gone through the program. She's still in the process of going through the program, and I've been really proud of her work. It really works. This process works, and it's something that you can do in a week's time or 6 months' time, and it's a high-impact, low-cost process, and so, I mean, who doesn't want that? So I just want to say thank you for being on, and I will see you next month. Bye.